Well, Kenny, the North London derby finished 2-0 to Arsenal at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Mikel Arteta's first away win, I should say, in this fixture. While there was only goals scored by Arsenal, it was a really hotly contested match. Do you think it was a fair result in the end?
Oh, it was. Arsenal, the far superior team. It's difficult. I can't stress how impressed I was with this Arsenal performance. North London derby, you're thinking, can they handle the occasion, the emotion of the occasion? Can they kind of detach themselves from that and still kind of play the type of scintillating football that we've seen so far this season? That's exactly what they did. They kind of fed off the energy inside the stadium to a point, but they still understood what they had to do. They stayed true to their game, passed the ball well. Movement ahead of the ball was great. Really tenacious, aggressive in their approach, in and out possession of football. Came under a bit of pressure second half, as you would have expected. Probably opening 20 minutes in the second half. They really had to dig in a little bit on the edge of their penalty box, but this is a different beast now, this Arsenal team. They look comfortable, though I have to defend the edge of their penalty box. How often could you have said that about an Arsenal team in the last 10 years? Almost never. You'd have to give Mikel Arteta a huge amount of credit for that. They really do look the real deal in and out possession of football. You could nitpick in certain areas of the pitch in terms of maybe small little frailties, but that's literally what you're doing, Stephen. Nitpicking, because fundamentally this Arsenal team are in great shape.
Because they always got a lot of criticism, even before Mikel Arteta's time, that they had a real soft core, that they weren't able to get in, do the dirty, hard work as a team, and that maybe as well, when they might have had a good start to a season, that they tail off at the end, that some people would say there'd be a bottle job there from Arsenal coming towards the end of the season. So why do you think that, and I know there is still, there's still a half a season to go in the Premier League, but why do you think that they have that real hard core to this team now? What's changed?
Well, the personnel, I'd say predominantly, and also maybe the environment. And again, that's where you have to give the manager credit for that. You're right, flaky Arsenal. How often did we all say it previously? But nobody's been saying that, certainly not this season, for quite some time now. It's because mentality has changed. They got better players. I think it's as simple as that. They got players now across the defensive line who actually enjoy defending. Saliba, who's come back from his loan spell in France, looks the real deal. Gabriel has his limitations to a certain degree, but he's improved over the past year. He enjoys his defending, takes real kind of pride in winning his 1v1 battles. And the protection in front, Partey, they've got a central midfielder now, real kind of tenacious, brings real kind of physicality to that area of the pitch, screens the back four. So that's kind of spawned the team with an excellent goalkeeper in behind now. Is head and shoulders above what we've seen previously. So, like I said, all the fundamentals are there and in place. And it's not as if you carry any of these players in possession. It's not as if you've got, four Neanderthals now in the kind of, the central area of the pitch who can get around and kick people and impose themselves and can't pass the ball when they get it. They can do both sides of the game. Partey can get on the ball and play. The two centre halves are comfortable receiving the ball and playing forward. Saliba in particular. So yeah, it's great to see. I have to say, I'm no Arsenal fan, but I'm loving what I'm seeing at the moment. And we saw it all in that game today, Steve. We saw the quality of their attacking football, particularly in the first half of that game, the confidence in which individually they're playing with, collectively, a really cohesive attacking unit first half. And then second half, we saw the other side of the game, that kind of collective spirit in defensive situations, protecting their goal and refusing to lead and concede a goal. So, yeah, it was all there for everybody to see today.
And as you're saying that about the defensive players playing good attacking football, I'm just thinking then as well, you could probably say that for their flair, their attacking players, the likes of, Eddie Nketiah. We praised him during the commentary for his work rate. Martin Odegaard as well. Bukayo Saka, they're not afraid of rolling their sleeves up and chipping you at the defence.
Yeah, absolutely. They carry nobody out of possession in a football. Probably similar to kind of Guardiola. Probably no surprise there. The time Arteta spent under Guardiola at Manchester City. You could say the same about Manchester City at their best. The attacking individual quality which they have, but how hard they work in terms of their press, counter press, traditionally under Guardiola, although probably not of late, but you're seeing it now with this Arsenal team. Martinelli, Saka and Nketiah, Odegaard, as good as he is, as good a ball player as he is, you can almost forgive him at times, maybe just like taking a breather here and there. He doesn't do it. He's got that captain's armband on his sleeve and it matters to him. So he shows as much tenacity out of possession, as much determination as he does in possession with the qualities that he has. So yeah, it's great to see. You need to have it if you're going to win a league title in this particular league. They're the kind of attributes that you need, and they're the type of attributes that Arsenal now have.
And while Tottenham really haven't got going this season, a derby match is a derby match, and a performance in that game will say an awful lot about a team. And I know you said during the commentary as well that you felt that this is the game you're watching today where you're really feeling there's a title win, potential title win in this Arsenal team. We know they have big tests coming up next week against Manchester United. They have to play them at home. They've also got Manchester City, whom they've yet to play in the FA Cup, and then again in the league in mid-February. So we'll learn a lot from those games. In those games, Kenny, and I suppose even you look at Man United coming up against Arsenal next week, where do you see the weaknesses in the Arsenal team?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I think that all these tests that we're talking about, they're passing them already. They were tested against West Ham at home a couple of weeks ago, 1-0 down at half-time against a very well-organised defensive unit. But that didn't faze them. They went and turned them over second half and won that game. Another big test today against the Tottenham team, which has its limitations to a point, but it's a North London derby, and all the chatter is Arsenal now are league contenders. How are they going to cope with that pressure today? There's a challenge there today. They've passed that. A lot of people saying, well, they've got to play Manchester City home and away. City could take 6 points off them. Well, at the moment, I'd fancy Arsenal to take 6 points off Manchester City, how well they're playing. So every small little challenge that's been put up front of them at the moment, they're actually passing it. So you're right, there are challenges ahead. They'll keep coming week in, week out, month in, month out between now and the end of the season. But I don't have any fears for this kind of Arsenal team. We don't know in terms of injuries. Losing key personnel between now and the end of the season is always a factor. We spoke about second half in terms of the strength and depth in the squad. I don't think it's as thin as some people suggest. You spoke about defensively, the options they have, particularly in full-back areas. We saw the quality of players coming off the bench, Smith Rowe and Vieira, a very talented player as well. Jesus has got to come back into the equation. Again, if you were nitpicking, you'd say if they were to lose Thomas Partey in that central area of the pitch for a long period of time, he has his issues injury-wise. Is Lokonga in particular a player who can come in, you can rely on between now and the end of the season? Yeah, maybe so. You could make an argument for that. But you're really searching. You're really searching for reasons to kind of nitpick at this Arsenal team. You know, you just got to take a step back sometimes and have a look at what you're watching. I did that today. And this Arsenal team kind of blew me away a little bit. I mean, they've shown that performance. It wasn't once off today, the performance they put on today. We've seen it consistently between the start of the season and now. And they just keep rolling it out week in, week out, Stephen. So, you know, they're here. They're the real deal. People have to accept it. You know, they are real title challengers. And like I said, second half for me now, they're favourites. They're clear favourites for this Premiership title. And
they've got a good goalkeeper, as you rightly said during the game. You gave a lot of praise to Aaron Ramsdale. But that definitely gives centre-backs and defenders a lot of confidence when they know they've got a keeper like that behind them. On the other side of that, though, can you talk to me about Hugo Lloris? Because back-to-back home games now, he's made big errors that have led to goals. How does that affect his defenders, the back three sitting in front of him?
Oh, it drains confidence. It's as simple as that. It's not just the past couple of weeks. I'd argue really for the last kind of 2 to 3 years. Been looking at Lloris, too many of these mistakes. I mean, all keepers make kind of good saves. Any keeper playing his trade in a reasonably high level is a decent shot stopper, and he produces a fair amount of decent saves, don't get me wrong. But in terms of kind of dominating his penalty box, showing kind of real personality, and really when those big moments arrive, as they did today for Aaron Ramsdale in the Arsenal goal, 1v1, first half against Son, 1v1 against Sessegnon, Spurs score in those moments in the game. It could be totally transforms the game, but doesn't happen because Ramsdale doesn't allow it to happen, doesn't make a mistake. He's on top of his game. Lloris wasn't on top of his game again today, and when those situations arise too often, you've got to deal with it as a manager. You can't allow it to continue to happen because, like you said, kind of drains confidence in the team. Defenders in particular, they look behind them. They can't totally trust the person who they see in their line of vision. You have to rectify that, and they've left it too long. Tottenham, for me, got to go and get a better goalkeeper. It's as simple as that.
What else is going wrong? Because it's hard to pinpoint. There seems to be just stuff seems to be going wrong all over the pitch. Son isn't playing well. Harry Kane's scoring a lot of goals this season, but that partnership that he had going with Son for a few seasons, which was so good. Central midfield, I know they've had their injuries as well, which haven't helped. Richarlison being out, he came back today. Bentancur's been out. He really makes their midfield tick. But can you really put your
Yeah, but I think you over-exaggerate, Steve. When you look at them, they've been in top four predominantly for most of the first half of the season. They've dropped out now. They're in 5th position. So it's hardly the whole world is kind of caved in. The reason why they're not maybe competing with the teams above them, and obviously it might be a struggle now for them to get those Champions League places, it's just man-to-man, probably not good enough. As good as those teams above him. We're talking about a goalkeeper. The goalkeeper's not good enough. Very difficult to maintain a title challenge, even the challenge for a Champions League place. If your goalkeeper's not good enough, they're short the top class centre half. They're going to play that back three as well. Midfield as well for me. Got decent enough options in there. It'll help them when Bentancur comes back, but I still feel as if they're short one top quality central midfielder in that area of the pitch. And you're right, individually they've dropped off. Son has been a shadow of his former self so far this season. Harry Kane was anonymous. We know the qualities he has. So they're just short. They're just short all over the pitch. I think Conte's publicly come out and said it. This is what I need. 3 or 4 top class players need to improve the quality within the squad as well. So that's the challenge facing Tottenham going forward. Now, is he getting the best out of the team at the moment? That's a different question. That wasn't the best of that Tottenham team today, so I'll give you that. But Tottenham that team still playing at their best for me are still short, certainly short in terms of putting a title challenge together. And the only way that's going to be rectified is backing the manager in the transfer market and getting the type of players that we've spoken about there.
Let's be selfish for a moment, because we highlighted Matt Doherty during the game as well. He has been criticised quite a bit over the years, and rightly so in some situations where his defensive efforts have not been good enough. Is it possible that he's improved defensively under Conte? Is there anything specifically that he maybe has done to make Matt Doherty a better defender?
Yeah, I think there's an argument for that. Well, I've seen it the last kind of 6 months for Matt. He's been unlucky at Tottenham. I think there's been times I've seen him playing. I thought he's going to stay in. He's got to stay in the team now. And Conte's kind of take him out. He's kind of rotate, or Emerson Royale in particular, in that area of the pitch. I don't really get it, to be honest with you, particularly as you've suggested. Really feel as if defensively now Matt's playing as well as I've ever seen him. I think it's a little bit of an easy criticism at times. I think there was a stage in his career, certainly the defensive side of his game wasn't his strongest, but only because how productive, how good he was kind of going forward in attacking areas of the pitch. But certainly of late, the last 6 months, I think he's really tidied up the defensive side of his game. That's as good as I've seen him play. He's up against probably the outstanding left wing in the league this season in terms of Martinelli. He matched up really well against him. Didn't get done in any 1v1 situations. Defended his back post really well, kind of crosses into the box. And they're basically the fundamentals of full back play. Don't let your opposition player get the better of you. He didn't do that today with Martinelli. And, defend your back post area, the penalty box, when the ball comes into that area. And that's exactly what he did. That was really hard done by, I think, when he got taken off today. I couldn't understand it. Chasing a couple of goals, sacrificing a defender. Why, really surprised Conte took Matt off, because the quality he has in attacking areas of the pitch. But that was no reflection on his performance today. I was really impressed. I'll be absolutely massively surprised if he doesn't start again in the next Tottenham game. That's what he needs to do. Keep laying down those types of performances, and he must stay in that Tottenham team.
Yeah, away to Man City, away to Fulham, their next 2 games. That's not exactly the ideal fixtures.
Not for Matt in particular. You gain confidence, I think, in a game like that against Arsenal, up against someone like Martinelli, as good as they've been. I know from experience, you go up against someone like that, you do well, actually maybe get the better of him in occasion. That really feeds into your kind of confidence. So yeah, if it's Jack Grealish, whoever it is, Phil Foden, bring him on. That's kind of got to be your attitude going forward. So I was really pleased. Not too much to pick out that Tottenham performance today individually, all around the pitch, but I think Matt's defensive performance for me is probably one that stood out. Yeah,
I should have said really for Tottenham, not ideal having those 2 games after that defeat.
I think you want Manchester City. I think you want Manchester City now. You look at their last 2 performances. Southampton absolutely abject. First half against United in particular, just kind of slow and laboured, and we've seen that from City on occasion over the years under Guardiola. Just dip off a little bit. They just need to shake themselves up a little bit and find that quality in terms of performance. We know they can do that kind of energy and drive and dynamism to their play, which has made them the great team that they are. But they haven't got it at the moment. They're struggling a little bit. They need to tap into that pretty quick. Otherwise, this Arsenal team for me could potentially go into the distance. Like you're saying, at the moment, you can see Arsenal going and beating them home and away, Manchester City. If they go and do that, I know the second game's not till April, but they're going to be out of sight, Arsenal, maybe in about 4 to 6 weeks, if Manchester City don't improve quickly.
There was a lot of people wondering whether Erik ten Hag was the right fit for Manchester United when he's appointed.
He's not the right fit for the suits that he's making. He's wearing most week. He's got to get a tailor involved quickly.
That's why he's got the big thick woolly jumper on underneath.
He's got the polo next day. He looks a bit better, to be honest.
But I must say, Kenny, I felt myself, even when he was appointed, you're kind of thinking this might be the first good decision this Manchester United board has made since the Glazers took over. It's starting to really look like that at the moment. And how serious now do you think their title challenge is?
No, I don't think it's a serious title challenge. I've got to be honest with you. I know you can easily make that argument that, if Manchester City can win it, why can't Manchester United? They're only a point behind them. I understand that. But I look at but I look at the squad at the moment. I still think they're short. They're playing well at the moment. Confidence is high, but I still think they're a little bit limited in certain areas of the pitch, which over the course of a season kind of will mean that they won't win the Premiership title. Like I matched them up against Arsenal at the moment. We're at Manchester United alongside Arsenal at the moment, and I wouldn't go as far as say maybe Arsenal are head and shoulders, but I think there's significant distance in terms of where this Arsenal team are in their development and Manchester United. So that's why I say I don't think Manchester United will win the title. But the fact that we're even talking about Manchester United putting a title challenge together is absolutely phenomenal in terms of where they were early in the season. I hadn't got the confidence you had in Ten Hag when he came into the football club. I thought he took a calculated risk, Manchester United, and bringing him in. And off the back of that result at Brentford, remember early in the season where literally it all imploded and everybody was scratching their head thinking, oh my God, this is as bad as it's going to get for Manchester United. But
I think, Kenny, it was from the Ajax situation where he took a team really unlucky against Tottenham in that semi-final, of course, when they could have got to a final. They probably deserved to get to the final. They beat Real Madrid away from home.
Yeah.
And you had a lot of players that people didn't really know an awful lot about at that time.
That.
Frankie de Jong, De Ligt, Ziyech was in the side as well. Tadic was playing for them. A team that really shouldn't have been in a semi-final of a Champions League, but he got them there, and I think that's where I kind of got that.
But
sense from.
This is Manchester United.
Yeah,
that's the challenge.
Story.
Little experience. There's other more experienced managers like Pochettino being mentioned. Even Conte, they had an option at some point of getting him. So you're bringing in a man kind of unproven. And don't get me wrong, at some stage you've got to take a risk on some manager and give him the opportunity to prove himself at the highest level. So I understand that. Just the fact again, just his background, Dutch personality. How would that blend into the dressing room? Would the players respond to him in terms of that type of personality, how he kind of deals with people? So all of those kind of questions. But at the moment, it's looking like a very good sign. They're in a good place. It looks as if the players are responding to him. He puts the work in on the training pitch tactically. You see nice few patterns on the pitch now at the moment. Things are kind of coming together on a bit of a roll, momentum behind him. So that's all good. There's still more to come. They have to get better. There's no doubt about that. I don't think the squad is particularly balanced as what we saw today from that Arsenal team. But they're
maybe
a work in
a couple
progress.
more Real Madrid players, maybe.
Modric.
Yeah.
Maybe so. But they're in a good place. That's what I'm saying. Champions League football for Manchester United. That was almost a dream for Manchester United supporters at the start of the season. So yeah, I wouldn't be spitting too many negatives at Manchester United at the moment. They're in a great place. Fans are enjoying themselves. They like what they're seeing. So yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see Manchester United back, Stephen, and competing up at the top end of the table. That's where they need to be.
And who knows, maybe win a cup. They're very close to the League Cup final as it stands. Just to finish then, Kenny, because I know you were quite critical of the Liverpool performance yesterday against Brighton. With our colleagues on Premier Sports, and
I couldn't have been the only person critical of the Liverpool, but most 98% of the Liverpool support must have been reasonably critical.
You're right there. Well, it just, you could analyse this all day, and it just seems so hard to see what's going wrong. Now, I put it to you that there seems to be, it just looks like Klopp seems to be trying to, it's almost like he's trying to fix all the problems that he should have fixed at the start of the season, halfway through the season. Bringing the likes of Gakpo, who's going to take a while to settle in. We see with Klopp, the style of football he likes to play, it takes time for players to settle into that team. The likes of Robertson, Alexander-Arnold, all these players that he signed, the likes of Sadio Mane, it took them all a while to find their rhythm under a Klopp managerial stint. But, it's going to take time for the new signings to find their way under Klopp. Now, that said, Man City can probably use the World Cup hangover as a bit of an excuse at the moment, but a lot of those Liverpool players didn't play much World Cup football.
No, you can park
what's going wrong? It's just what's going wrong.
You can park that the World Cup experience. That's the fundamentals in that Liverpool team. That's the problem, and Cody Gakpo isn't going to solve that. There's no quick fix. In fact, there's no fix at all inside the Liverpool Football Club at the moment in terms of personnel, players who are potentially going to come back into that team. They've still got a wealth of talent in forward areas of the pitch. That's exciting. The likes of Diaz and Jota come back into the equation. Gakpo's a good player, don't get me wrong. Nunez, we know, hasn't hit the heights in terms of goal scoring, but there's a player there, there's no doubt about that. But that's not the issue in terms of the attacking quality which they have high up the pitch. It's the fundamentals really for me, and that's kind of central midfield area. That's been Liverpool, that's been the powerhouse. That's been the steel in this Liverpool team traditionally, and that's been kind of foundation blocks where they've had their success under Klopp the past 4 to 5 years. So that's been dismantled. Not through Klopp's fault with Gini Wijnaldum leaving the football club. Jordan Henderson, unfortunately, the last year or so, a big drop off at him in terms of his physical levels. Just can't get around the pitch as he did previously. That real kind of dynamism and physicality which he have, absolute racehorse. He could operate at a high level of intensity for 90 minutes. Can't do that anymore. And so it's kind of a ripple effect from that. Liverpool are really powder puffing that central area of the pitch. And it was, it was shown, it was stripped bare yesterday. Fabinho, Thiago and Henderson, that's who Klopp feels is the strongest midfield three at the moment. And they're absolutely almost inept at times yesterday. Were they not trying? Well, it wasn't that they weren't trying. They'd never accuse Henderson of that. Fabinho, maybe Thiago on occasions, to be honest with you. Didn't like his body language yesterday, but just can't get around the pitch quick enough, can't get close enough to people, can't make tackles, can't track runners. Brighton moved the ball quickly, 1-2 touch, played around them, people ran past them, dynamic movement. Liverpool just couldn't deal with it. So although you can talk about individually drop off in terms of performances, Trent, even Virgil van Dijk, Robertson individually making mistakes, for me the fundamental problem is that kind of central midfield area, that holy trinity of Wijnaldum, Henderson and Fabinho at its very best has been kind of dismantled, has kind of disappeared. And Liverpool, if they're going to play that brand of football again, that's what Liverpool want to get back to, that heavy metal type of football, high press, high energy, real kind of physicality, suffocate opposition teams, really strangle the life out of them. They've got to go and find two top-class central midfielders to go and play in there. If you're not going to do that, well, you better find a different way to play. And that's the challenge for Klopp between now and the end of the season. How does he see it? Hasn't got those players now. So good coaches, good managers have to try and find a solution. What's the best bet for us at the moment in terms of team shape, in terms of personnel? And I don't think 4-3-3 at the moment looks like it's going to be the answer. For me, almost, you've got to look at the Liverpool team. When those players come back high up the pitch, pick your four best forwards, front three and a number 10, and pick your best central midfield pairing and play with a two in there. And that's not easy to find your best two central midfielders at the moment. Because like I said, I think they're short in there. Got some young talent, some really outstanding young talent. Elliott, I like, even Dokes and Carvalho, to be fair to you. I really like them, but they're kind of the medium to long term. At the moment, Liverpool really need to improve and invest in that central area of the pitch. It's not going to do it in the window. I'm not convinced they can go and do it in the summer, because the likes of Chelsea, Manchester United and Manchester City could be looking to reinvest in that central area of the pitch for the best central midfielders in the world. Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice and one or two others. Liverpool are going to have to compete in the market in the summer with those teams. I'm not too sure they've got the financial resources to go and do it. So that'd be the slight worry for Liverpool supporters going forward. Doom and gloom. No, you don't look all around the Liverpool team and say, oh my God, this is an absolute nightmare. I've already said the quality which they have high up the pitch. Individual players can up their performances, absolutely. But the basic fundamentals for me in that central midfield area is the absolute key. And that's what needs to change. Klopp needs to be backed if he wants the challenge, Stephen. If he wants the challenge to go and go again almost. He's almost got to reinvent this Liverpool team and restructure it and put it together again. If he's got the ambition, the desire, the energy to go and do that again, great. The club have got to go and back him in the summer. But it's going to take a little bit of time. I don't think it's a quick fix in that Liverpool squad. So I'm very interested to see how kind of plays out over the next kind of 6 months.